welcome to my vegetable garden. We are currently in level 4 lockdown in South Africa. I live in Port Elizabeth in the Eastern Cape, and I've been having a wonderful time really in my garden over the last few weeks of lockdown. It also has made me think a little bit more about how I've been vegetable gardening, and it's just sort of been a hobby until now. I feel like I really want to actually provide for my family a bit more out of the garden. If we had no other means of getting fresh fruits and vegetables, well, then we would have a problem from my vegetable garden, which is really a shame. I mean, it's not tiny, it's not like a backdoor garden. There's some people call those little vegetable gardens the size of a back door. It's possibly about, I'd say, it is 3 meters by 5 meters, decent size, but I am not getting the yields that I should be getting. So while trying to do some research online to see what I can do specifically in the Eastern Cape in our area, I found that there really isn't much information. I did, however, come across Mr. Charles Dowding, and his method of gardening, the no dig method, is fantastic. I have been doing that. I don't still dig my beds over at all, but he's just even got a more simpler method than what I had. And I think, well, if you look at his documents everything, and you can see the increase of his yields and how well it's doing, and he's got a dig bed and a no dig bed, and there really is just so much benefit to no digging and his way of gardening. So I thought, well, I'm going to start documenting everything that I'm doing in my vegetable garden with this method, and I'm going to put it out there for whoever is interested, specifically folk who live in my area. And so this is really just a information session on what's happening, what have I planted, how did it go, what did I do, and so that's really what my little channel is for. It's very amateur. I'm just using my cell phone, and there's no professional videography going on here, so please don't crook that. But I just really want to encourage people to get into their gardens, and just for the joy of it, even if you're not going to feed your entire family out of your vegetable garden, it's just so good to be out in the soil, out in the garden, touching the soil, just being in God's creation. It's wonderful. It's good for the soul, and it's good exercise. And you don't even feel like you're exercising. So I'm going to start off with a little garden tour. Right, so we'll start here. These are my sweet peppers that I have had in the soil for quite a while now. You can see they're looking quite nice. Not as large as I would have liked. They are yellow peppers. You can see, I can't remember exactly, I planted them in February. I don't know if you can see that, it's looking a bit white. There we go. Planted that in February, around about, and so I saw a YouTube clip of a fellow which said to pinch out the growth tip, which we then did, and it worked great, and I was so happy to see all the blossoms, and the leaves are looking good. However, they're not as large as I was hoping, and I don't actually even know what's going on here. These don't look so great at all. Right, so like I was saying, these ones don't look so great. They're a little bit small, and there's these lines on them. Oh, look at that. Anyways, there's 4. I don't know, maybe one should pinch them out and only have a few on, but I don't think so. Over here I have all along the wall there. This is blackberries, and they're not very sweet, but they're very healthy, very good for you. I should make some jam next season when they flower again. On top of them I have, not that I planted it, it's a bit of a weed I suppose in a way, is the sweet potatoes. They're in here somewhere. Hopefully I'll eventually find some actual sweet potatoes, but they grow their vines along here. And now in the winter time, while we're heading for winter now. It's autumn still. Then I'll just leave the sweet potato vines, and then in spring we'll probably pull them off. And on this bed I have the peas. Yeah, they're doing well, I think. They could probably get some more sun. They get morning sun about 4 hours, and but I do have a lemon tree in the garden, and I'm so fond of this lemon tree. It's a real performer. It just fruits all year long, and so you see there's blossoms, fruit. Yeah, so it does provide shade in the really hot months, which works well. But I think now when we're having a little less light than normal, it could cause a problem. But I can't move it, and I'm certainly not going to chop it down. And then I have two beds, two peas. I sow them according to Bob Flowerdue's method. He actually, not as much as he does. He would drill a line, and then he just sows his seeds down. So I do have a little bit of spacing. I'm trying to max out the beds that I have. So that's why they're a little bit on top of each other. I use the branches from my plum tree. So they love to climb up on that. And then, to my surprise, out popped a gem squash. I was quite impressed with this little thing, and it was growing so well, and I didn't feel like I had the heart to pull it out, so I left it in there. I've just trained it to go the other direction, but it has taken out a couple of the peas that were there. But you can see there's a little gem. Oh, there's a leaf in the way. Yep, there's a little gem there, and there's one there, tiny little one there. There's another one. There's another one. So, and there's another one. Yeah, so, and it's looking good. I often have a problem with these type of plants, curbits I think they're called, something to that effect. Anyway, all the squashies that I get powdery mildew. So you can see here that it's starting on the lower leaves. I've had some, I've pulled it out. I just chopped the lower leaves out, and it seems to be keeping that under control. So my plan is I want to feed the soil, and then hopefully that will make it that the plant is strong enough to be able to fight off that attack. So here you can see some of my peas. I think I'll be able to pull those ones off tomorrow. That one as well. They're not in full swing yet. I think I'm still going to have some more blossoms. You can see all the little babies coming out here. Oh, this one as well. That one can get pulled out. Off, not out. So this bed is going to be for my potatoes. They are busy shooting out at the moment in the kitchen. I'll show you that in a separate video. And then this one is going to be for my cabbages, which I have on the windowsill in seed trays. That is also a method that I normally would have just sowed them direct, but Charles Downing is of the opinion that it is better to actually sow them in seed trays and then you plant them out, just so that you've got a nice strong little plant which you're putting in the ground, and that makes sense. So I'm going to try that. And then here I have strawberries, and they were planted a few months ago, probably just before our spring, and they didn't do very well. I'm hoping next season they will do better. I have put the compost down around them. I used to have the grass clippings. That was my mulch, and since finding Charles Dowding's work online, or his videos, I think that this is a better method, because the little snails, they are a very big problem, and they come in from the grass. So when I would put the lawn clippings down, then I would be introducing these little snails every time. And then I have my herbs at the bottom here, and then these are Cape gooseberries. not because they are from the Cape, as in the place. They're actually from South America, but it's because of their little jacket that they have around them. They're very healthy, high in vitamin K, and they've got oils, some oils. Anyways, that's why I keep them. They actually just pop up by themselves. And right next to them, I've got pepper dews. So I suppose one shouldn't plant plants from the same family right next to each other, but they seem to be doing okay. They're doing all right there. Here's over here. Oh, let me show you this. This is my little cold frame, which is just really a window frame which we had with glass in it. And these are seeds which are seedlings. These are onions. I hadn't documented when I sowed these. I should have. Well, I'm going to be more diligent about that now. So I stuck them under here to keep them a little bit warmer, and they are from seed that I had saved from a previous harvest of onion. And I was so surprised when they all popped out like that. So they are multi-sown, and I'll just pop each little cell in, and we'll see how that goes. They of course take very long, onions, but it is so rewarding when it does fruit, and well, when you can harvest them. I have planted some more peas. The first planting you can see there was in late March, and then I planted again on the 24th. So the ones which were planted on the 24th, they started coming out. I've had to put up this little fence structure over here because I have a little baby tortoise in the garden who hatched out in our garden, and I like the little fellow. I don't mind him in the garden, but he was doing a little bit of damage, and so he annihilated this one, and I was worried he's going to start taking out those. So I just fenced him off. He can have some other stuff. I don't mind him eating the bottom of those peas over there, but he certainly can't have this. And then here, just the other day, I planted, today's the 3rd of May, so I planted some carrots, and we'll keep an eye on this and we'll see how they go. So you will notice that I don't have what is traditional mulch over the beds. I've got, this is my new method according to what I've learned from Charles Dowding, is I have put down my compost which I make, and I'll show you that in another video. So this is so easy. You never dig the soil over. You don't have to have I normally had leaves, and I'll have grass clippings. The problem with that is it brings in the pests and actually weed seeds as well, which wasn't too bad because as the little things would pop up, then I'll just pick them out, the weeds. But sort of like this little one over here, although no, I must let it, no, it must go. I keep feeling sorry for things, and then I want to see what it is, and no, we're going to take them out. So in these little rows, that's where my carrots are. This is the last of my lettuce which I had in, and there was the problem. I had the grass clippings as a mulch, and then these little mini snails live underneath the grass clippings, and at night they come out and then they make these tiny holes all over the lettuce. So yeah, I was a bit upset with that, but there came the solution, and you just put your compost down. So I've kept this one because you will notice here that, see, it's starting to flower. So I'm going to keep the seed, and then I'll sow that, because lettuce you can in South Africa, well, yeah, but we don't get frost, so you're able to plant throughout the year, actually, right through winter and everything with lettuce. Same with cabbage and broccoli. Oh, I had such a disaster with the broccoli. My daughters and I, they're little, so we did we sowed it in the bed which I'm going to put the potatoes, and I didn't check the packaging, and the one says to me 5 centimeters, Mom, and I thought, sure, that's deep for such a small seed. So 5 centimeters it was, and they never came up. But fortunately, I found some more of the seeds, and so I've now planted them in trays, which I will show in another video. And then over here I took some seed from really sweet little cherry tomatoes, and I've planted them in there. And I don't know where I'm going to fit them in, but I will nurse them along and see what I can do. I am going to extend the bed, which I will show you in another video. Yeah, so this is my vegetable garden, and there are my chickens washing, and there's a girl doing a dust bath over there, and there's my old girl, 8 years old, that one is. So I hope you're going to enjoy this, and it will be useful. That's really what it's about. Like I said, this is a very amateur, just filming with my phone, just so that there's some information out there on what you know, an easy way to successfully garden in Port Elizabeth in the Eastern Cape.